So, you're just about to start that new house in your Minecraft world. Maybe it's an addition to a village, or perhaps it's the starting house for a brand new world. But the problem is, you're running into this issue. You're putting down your blocks, and by the time it's finished, it's just a big block. Well, today I'm going to show you exactly how I go about building all of my builds, and how we can turn this simple, ugly, blocky structure into something that looks like this. Now I'm going to be approaching this build as if it's day one in your Minecraft world. I'm going to be looking at limited resources and not going too big and crazy that you're not able to build it within just the first couple of days. So let's get a copy and get started with the building. Now the first thing that we are going to look at is the entranceway. And it's quite easy to go, you know what, I want to put it like slap bang in the center. And okay, fair enough, that's symmetrical, but what I've started doing is kind of putting it off to one side. Now when it comes to your entranceway, this is going to be the main port of access for you, your friends, and anyone who is visiting your base. So we want to make sure that it looks nice. And to accommodate this, the first thing I'm going to do is just take out the bottom layer and replace it with some deep slate. Then I'm going to put down a slab and a stair here, and I'm just going to drag this across the house to about there. Then either side of the stairs, I'm just going to put in a spruce log. And then running the length of the decking, we're just going to go with spruce trapdoors. Then I'm going to open up all of the spruce trapdoors just so it's a little bit easier. I'm going to add in some oak trapdoors on the top. Then we'll close those up. This way we've got a bit of a railing. Now what we can do is we can take ourselves some fence posts and we can go 2 up, grabbing our slabs and bringing those over and up one so we get a little bit of an archway. Then we'll just run these all the way back until we get towards the house. Now when it comes to the door, we're actually going to come inside. We're going to place this sideways like that. So this is the door in its closed state, and this is it in its open state. This confuses mobs and prevents them from walking into your base. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our attention towards the little bit of an awning that we've got going on here, and we can just bring across some spruce trapdoors. We can do this 2 layers if you want, or you can just go 1 layer, and then we can come up here and we've got ourselves a little bit of a window. And what we can do is we can take out a couple of these pieces, and what we can do is insert a couple of these birch trapdoors, and that just gives us a cool window that reflects well and contrasts us with the building palette that we've been using so far. And while I like this, I am going to come in here and I'm going to add in another oak log, bringing up the fences, and then we can bring this across one and line it up, and that way it brings the whole build together. And now I'm going to bring in some leaves. I'm going to use cherry blossoms so it gives us that pop of color, but if you don't have access to these, you can achieve the same effect with pale oak leaves, or you can even use the flowering azalea leaves, and if you're really struggling, then just any leaves will do. It adds that bit of contrast and changes up the style just a bit. And finally, just so that this building doesn't look so uniform, we can come in and we can add a little bit of andesite to this just to break that up a tad. And already, by just adding in that main entranceway, we have completely transformed how this build looks. But we're not finished yet, because this is our starter house, and so it needs a couple of modifications. Because, well, we need to live. And food is going to be a problem, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fence, I'm going to put a fence right here, then I'm going to put the fence gate, then I'm also going to put another fence post here. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock it back by 1 all the way to the road. And then I'm going to come in with the pathway block and I'm going to take it up to the front door like this, ensuring that it's not centered, that there's this 1 block off here. And it's little things like this where you just offset it by a block, move your door to the end of the house, that just breaks up that uniform feel that's just so common within Minecraft builds. This adds detail. Lastly, I'm going to take this fence all the way around to the outside, but I'm going to offset it again by a block so it pokes out just a bit. Then what we can do is we've got a front garden right here. We can take out a piece of it, put down some leaves, and then throw in a water bucket to waterlog it. Now, before we set the farmland down, what we can do is we can just go ahead and take out a couple of these and bring it back by 1, creating this 1 block gap here, adding a little bit more interest to the build. Then we can go ahead and just hoe down all of this land and plant ourselves some seeds and get the seedy place advancement. Don't forget the crucial step of letting the health inspector around, check everything out and make sure it's all okie dokie. So now when it comes to this bit, you can just go ahead and take up a pillar of wood. It can be any wood that you like. For this one, I'm going to choose spruce. Then I'm going to grab myself a slab. I've missed the slab. Grab the slab. I'm going to put the slab on top. And then I'm going to throw down a trapdoor on 3 of the 4 sides. What you can do then is we can throw down a lantern on either side for lighting and a hanging sign to let people know whose base this is. If I can spell the word base, that is. Excuse me, sir. Do you mind? I'm trying to film. Trying to record here. You're not a paid actor. Get out of me ass. Right. What we can do is we can somewhat mirror this garden on this side, but not making it identical. And the reason that we can do this is because early on, there is another resource that we want to make sure that we have access to. That being sugarcane. And sugarcane growing up at the front of your house is going to add in an extra level of color and detail. Next, we're going to tackle this problem. Your chest monster you've got going on. What? You don't have one? Oh, right. We're still going to tackle it. Then when it comes to a starter house, I always kind of follow the same principle. That we have a long bit here, and then on the end, what we have is some sort of cross shape. This way I can put chests in this area, and this area, and store all of my goodies. Obviously, this is not to scale. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take it up. Excuse me, I'm busy. Jeez, man, you just are an impatient son of a gun. So now we have the question of how can we translate this into a full-scale build. We're going to start by pushing this back by just 1, and then we're going to leave a gap of 5 in between them, and then we're going to put down another one over here. Then we'll go 3, and we'll add in the exact same thing right here. Now, I built this house on an even deliberately because in the early game, a lot of players think, oh, I'll start out, everything's got to be even. It doesn't. In Minecraft, we're going to be building on odd numbers, and I'm going to show you how you can retrofit this very easily. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do this on all 4 of these pillars. Once we've got the bottom block and then we're up 3, we're going to go 1 more time, but this time we're going to bring it all the way over. Bringing it all the way across. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, like so, and we're going to do that again on this side. 1, 2, 3, and then when you've done 3, it's 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, like so, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you should find is you have a 3 gap here as this comes around. And then what we want to do is we want to mirror this 3 gap over here by just bringing this out 2. Then we get the cross shape. Then just like before, we're going to grab some cobblestone and we're going to lay this on top of the deep slate. And we're going to bring this all the way up to the same level as this right here. Now once it's done, you can, if you like, take out these corner pieces. They aren't needed and they do open up the room into more of a circular shape, but you can also keep them in if you like. Then we're going to take a look at this bit next, where I'm going to bring in another piece of cobblestone like so. Then I'm going to go stair, stair. Then what we can do is we can bring the slabs up like so and bring those down. This way we've got an archway, adding some intricate detail to an otherwise bland build. Don't forget to repeat this over on this side. So now that we've got this, what we need to do is we need to come in on this side and go ahead and lay down some cobblestone so that you bring this up all the way to the top like so. Don't forget to add in your deep slate or whatever accent block you've chosen to use. Now when it comes to accessing this building and this building, we've got options. Central door, which means the archway is going to be hollow. But what I like to do is I like to offset the door again by 1, putting it on this level here. And don't worry, I know that we are a level below our door. We can always add in a staircase over here. And because we are a level off, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch this up and I'm going to put the door on this side. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because we can actually add in another archway right here in the center. And what I like about this is you can go ahead and grab yourself whatever wood you're using. In this case, we'll use spruce wood. And what you could do is just a level above, you can add in this spruce wood and create a secondary arch with inside of these archways. I think I messed that up very slightly there. Just like that. And what this does is it adds that additional pop of color, and you're just adding more detail and etchings to an already existing build. And this feels a lot nicer. And then just to make this feel a little bit more at home, I'm going to take what we've done here with the spruce trapdoors and I'm just going to drag that back so that it runs into this new archway. Now the great thing about doing these internal archways is they are at the perfect height to add in a lantern. So now that we've got somewhat the shape in place, let's look at the fact that we originally built on and even. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear out this oak roof. This is not what we want. So now that we are looking at the back, we've got this straight face facing us. And we know that this is even. And even is not a good thing within Minecraft. Building on odd numbers is way better. So what we can do is we can just simply push this back by a single block. And it's that easy to retrofit your build. And of course, what I mean by retrofit your build is we built this archway. We added in this level of detail which threw off the balance of the back of our house. And so rather than overthink it and overcomplicate it, the solution was just to move it back a single block. That way we've got this little bit of piece jutting out here. And we now have the house on an odd number. So now, let's tackle the backside. You know, I don't mean that backside. And for this, we are going to be a little bit more simpler than we were with the front end. I'm going to come one block away from the end over here, and I'm going to keep true to what we did out front, but very slightly different. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're still going to go with this archway that leads up and to our door. Just like that. But unlike out front, where we have it going around the entire house, I'm not going to do that out back. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of barrels and I'm going to lay these down so that the stripes are facing into the build. Then I'm going to go spruce trapdoor with an oak trapdoor on top, and I'm going to do this on both sides and open them up. Then, being a little bit careful, I'm going to come on top and I'm going to add in some spruce stairs, and I'm going to throw those down underneath like so. And then on top, I'm just going to add in some trapdoors. And finally, I am going to repeat exactly what I did on the sides out back, adding in some trapdoors. And what we've done here is we have created a little bit of a shed that's got some storage here. This way we can store the wheat that grows or the sugarcane from out front in an easily accessible location, but more importantly, we don't have to keep littering this house with windows because we'll be using those over here, and we get to add in some extra level of detail. And that brings me to the back of the house again. We're going to run a bit of an oak fence just around, and we're going to keep this, don't be afraid to vary it somewhat. Don't make it straight. Straight fences are boring. But inevitably, this fence is going to meet up with this wall over here, so that we are somewhat encased. Then we'll grab a fence gate and we'll pop that down anywhere along the backside we want. Then next, we are going to start by dragging a pathway from the gate all the way around to the new gate. And lastly, we'll take this pathway up and to the back door. This shows exactly where we need to walk to be able to get from one location to the next. Now, when you've got the pathway done, what you can do is you can come out back and you can add in a couple of spruce pillars somewhere local to this fence. And what this is going to do, this is going to set the boundaries for what is going to be our animal pen. So just grab some more oak planks, or some oak fences, should I say, and start dragging this out. All we are doing is randomly connecting these fences to these spruce pillars. And then finally we can populate this with a few cows, and now we've got access to leather and beef as well as food. And so far the starter house contains all of the stuff that we need to be able to breed the cows. We've got the sugar cane, and we've also got leather, which means we can very easily get into enchanting. But don't forget to take your pathways up to the doors that lead into your house. So now we've got this portion of the house done, we can start looking at how to make these bits look a little bit more beautiful. And you've got quite a lot of different options. You can use trapdoors as windows, but of course that doesn't work if you took out this block here. So what we could do is we can add that block back in, add in a couple of trapdoors, sorry, not those ones, these ones, because we've used these in the front of the house. And then we can throw down, where's the spruce trapdoors? Let's grab those instead, those are a little bit better. We can throw down 3 of those, grab a spruce fence, put that underneath, and we've got a little bit of a side window, which definitely works better on the back side of the house. So turning our attention back to the front side, let's go make a bit more of an eye-appealing window over here by using an archway with 2 spruce trapdoors as well as 2 birch trapdoors on top of it, creating this cool little window design that we've got going on here. Then we can even heighten this a little bit more by bringing in some fences and adding in some trapdoors on top, and then topping them off with some slabs. There is a bit of a gap here that we can't do too much about, but what you can do if you really don't like the gap is use simply the slabs instead. Now for these fence posts, we can do an upside down stair if we like, but I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like it's too much. We can also use what we've used elsewhere, which is these. That fits a lot better in my opinion. Or you can just simply go ahead and bring them all the way down. And again, we'll just go ahead and put some leaves down there for a bit of extra foliage. But now we have a lot of blank space, and we can go ahead and fill this in a lot of different ways. For me, I'm going to take a couple of these trap door windows, and I'm just going to put them on the smaller sides so that we've got small windows solving this problem. And when it comes to these bigger sides, I'm going to use some archway windows like this so that we've got this grand opening, and we're going to put this on each way, making sure that the archway looks into the center. And to keep it in with theme, these ones are just simply going to have some birch trap doors. Again, we're looking at resources that you've got readily available to you, and this is probably going to be it when it comes to the windows for this area. Now, just to add a little bit more extra detail to these, I'm going to throw in some oak trapdoors at the top corners of these windows, and that's going to really help out with what I'm planning to do above it. So now we've tackled this area, we've tackled this area, we've tackled the bridge, we've got food, we've got sugarcane, we've got animals. What's next? Well, at some point, you're going to need to enchant. So, we're going to look at possibly an enchanting tower. And towers can be quite challenging, but we're going to keep it relatively simple. Now, for this tower, we aren't going to be doing what I've got going on there, which is a long-standing, tall tower. This one's actually going to come into the side of the building, which means we want to make sure that we're bringing this up by another block. So now that we have brought this up by another block, we can start looking at the roofs that we are going to put in. And for this tower, what we're going to do is we're just going to throw in a slab roof, slowly going up by just one. And what we're doing is we're pushing this back one block each time until we reach the level of this roof. Yeah, and then with this roof, what we're going to do is we are going to take our spruce and we're going to run it along all the way to just about here. Then what we can do is do the exact same thing on this side. Then on the back of our stairs, what we're going to do is we're going to do an upside down stair. Yet instead of doing the triangle roof that we've been doing everywhere, what we're actually going to do is we're going to put a block on top of this upside down stair, then a regular stair on top, and we're going to keep going up like that. So we're putting an upside down stair on the back of the regular stairs, a block, a stair, so on and so forth. And eventually this is going to meet up in the middle like this. And when it does, what we're going to do is we're just going to throw down a block and then another block on top. This gives us a bit more of a strong arched roof. And what we're going to do is we're going to repeat that archway, that same style, on every part of the juttiati bit. So on this cross that we've got going on over here, we're going to bring out each section with the spruce wood, and we're going to bring those out just one block so they arch over and they hang over a little bit. And then, oops, I did not mean to go there. Then what you can do is we're just going to bring this up again the exact same way that we did the other one. Upside down stairs, upside down stair, regular block, regular stair, block, block. Now eventually your roof is going to look like this. We've got the archways in place, and we're going to start by connecting these three up. So we're going to take this and we're going to run it all the way towards the one on the opposite end, and then the one that's left out, we will go ahead and link that one up too. Likewise, we are going to take the spruce that we have done and we are going to push that all the way up, except for on this side. We're just going to run this straight into the bridge. And we're actually going to bring this out by one. Once these are all connected, we are not going to connect this one to here just yet, because we're actually going to do something a little bit different with this central bit. So when it comes to filling in your roof, we do want to use a different shade block. In this case, I'm just going to use oak planks, and I'm going to make sure that they meet up. It doesn't matter that we got two different types of wood going on here. That is perfectly okay. It creates that level of extra detail and that color pop, and it looks so much better than having the same colored roof. But as long as we keep the same style, and I receive a text message partway through the recording, everything should line up perfectly. Now, we are not going to be connecting up this side just yet, but we can do a bit of this archway as well. We're going to be bringing this all the way back to just this block right here, just before where the bridge begins. Now, you'll notice that this roof is actually shorter than that roof. And so we are not actually going to be connecting these up right here. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take this spruce and we're going to meet the two up like so. We're also going to do the exact same on this side. That way, they are connected. Then we're going to take a very different block. This is stripped oak, which you can get by just right-clicking regular oak logs with a pickaxe. Sorry, an axe, not a pickaxe. Definitely not a pickaxe. And we're going to bring this up by about 3. And now this is brought up by 3, we can go ahead and start filling in the bits of missing roof on this side. Just bringing it all the way to where this begins. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a spruce slab on these. And then what we're going to do is on the back, we're going to go up by a block. And then we're going to keep doing this on both of them. Make sure we go up by the block on the one that's behind, all the way until we get to this central one. Then we can take out the blocks behind and bring up the central pillar by just 1. Now the reason that I say to bring them up behind is because sometimes these slabs can count as 2 blocks. I have a mod installed that prevents that, but sometimes when you have 2 slabs together that are the same, so these 2 like here would be a full block, it would destroy both of them if you were to bring them up on the front side. So I always bring them up on the back side. It just makes it a little bit easier like this. And that way, you get them in the perfect position. Now what we can do is we can connect these up using oak slabs. Again, we're going to save the middle right here for being the same color so that we've got that spine running across it. Now, we can go ahead and finish connecting this. You could have connected this all along. I just wasn't sure it was going to line up. That was my bad. This could have been connected all along, but we'll connect this up. And now all the bits that have been left open on the triangle roofs or the archway roofs, we want to close off all but the central piece. This is the bit that stays open. Lastly, what we're going to do is we're just going to come up on top on this side right here where this overhangs, and we're going to create another archway roof, this time just for aesthetics so that it doesn't look as bland, because right now it just doesn't look all that good. There we go. Now, one thing to note is this is a full block, so mobs can spawn. If you don't want that, you can go along the tops with just some slabs, and that'll make it a block that mobs cannot spawn on. Now, we've got a little bit more detail work to do. For example, replacing some of the cobblestone with additional blocks. In this case, I'm going to trade some of the cobblestone out for andesite. I'm using a mod here that just allows me to instantly replace the blocks. You will have to obviously mine this out in survival. But just by adding in 1 block, whoops, I didn't mean to change that spruce slab there. And just by switching out those 2 blocks, we've created a level of detail that we were missing before that. Now, there's a couple of extra things that I want to do for detail. I want to take some of these fence posts. Let me just get rid of replace mode right there. And I just want to run these down the centers here just to add that extra level of detail. Fences, in my opinion, are a great way to add detail to your world. They're just so good at adding detail, along with just trapdoors. I find trapdoors to be incredibly useful. But we can also just go ahead and take a couple of stairs there, and that adds that, brings that in. And at the top here in these windows, just on the one side though, I'm only doing this on one side. I'm going to add in some trapdoors so that we get that nice little blocky effect. Yes, we've got a little bit of sky popping through, but it also brings it completely home. As I'm planning this to be elytra proof, so you can come in here, get down with your elytra, and go down into your house. Now, depending on your level of comfort, there is one more thing that we can do. We can add in some dormer windows, or in this case, I'm just going to add in 1. I'm going to pick a spot there. I'm going to go 3, and I'm also going to pick a spot there. I'm going to go 2 spruce planks, and then I'm going to grab my spruce trapdoors, or add my spruce stairs, and I'm going to bring this around like so. And all we're doing is we're following the curve naturally of the build, and I want to take this out and replace this so that it's all spruce that meets up. There we go. And then we take this out, and we've got a bit of a window. And how do we do this? I've actually brought that out one too many. This time, we're just going to go triangle shaped. This is a simple roof, but it doesn't need to be a level of detail here that we've put in elsewhere. It doesn't need to be overly intricate. And then we can start bringing this back. And all we're going to do is we're going to bring it back until it hits the main roof. That's it. In places like this, you might want to take out this block here and this block here so that when you bring it back, it actually connects up. Well, that's the point it needs to go. And then we can bring back the slab action, bring it up, and there we go. We've got a bit more detail to an otherwise bland roof. And the one thing that I don't like is this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch out these fence posts, or these slabs above these fence posts for stairs, just so that this roof feels like it's still coming down. Yeah, I like that. And there we have it. A simple, easy to build starter house with everything that you will need and levels of detail that just add to the aesthetics of the build. So we went from this to this. So if you did like my approach to being able to build things, as I tried to teach you how to build as opposed to showing you block for block how to do it. If you did like this approach, then please do consider leaving the video a like and hit subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought and what you want to see me tackle next to build. This building might actually crop up in one of my survival series. I'm quite happy with it. But as always, I'm KC, you are the awesome folk. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.